All right, everyone, I'm gonna go ahead and call us to order here at 7:32. Can we have a roll call, please?
Member Adams. Here. Berlin.
Here.
Carrier.
Here.
Chavez.
Here.
DeCiani. Eckhoff.
Here.
Hart.
Here.
Henry.
Here.
Hendrick.
Here.
Rutledge.
Here.
Spellman.
Here.
White. So we have a form.
Great, thank you. Nothing under chairperson's remarks. Any public comment this morning?
No.
Okay. I'll take a motion to approve the minutes from our regular meeting of Tuesday, October 12th, 2021.
So moved.
Second. Any questions, comments, or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next I'll take a motion on budget transfer. This one is totaling $69,797. This is to cover the retirement benefits for a GIS employee.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, next up, we have a budget adjustment total of $86,235. This is to cover a few things, some replacements of some furniture and some offices, automatic paper folder, polo shirts for the IT staff so they're recognizable when they go into offices, and some improvements for our ERP.
So moved.
Second. Any comments, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next up, procurement requisitions. I'll take a motion on TEP 0397-21, a recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Infor for ERP maintenance and support. This contract goes from November 13th, 2021 through November 12th, 2022 for a total of $198,602. This is sole source.
So moved.
Second.
Comments, questions on this item? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next up, I'll take a motion for recommendation the approval of a purchase order to Infor for technical and application support for HR and payroll. This is a total of $25,618 from the contract from December 1st, 2021 through November 30th, 2022.
So moved. Second.
Comments, questions on this one? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next up is our presentation on cybersecurity.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So I thought I would, excuse me, I ran up the stairs. Not in the as great a shape as I used to be. So I thought I'd bring you up to speed on where we are with cybersecurity in DuPage County, give you a look of a highlight of what cybersecurity is, how it's impacting us and other organizations, and then what we're doing about it to protect ourselves. Next slide. So for those of you who don't know what cybersecurity is, essentially it's security that protects us from harmful elements of the web. So it protects our systems and our devices, whether we are accessing information, trying to access information via the web, or whether we're downloading information. Cybersecurity is that layer that protects us. In some cases, people confuse cybersecurity with IT security. They are two different things, but both equally important. IT security is a broader discipline of technology security. It involves cybersecurity as one of its disciplines, but it also includes things like server security, network security, database security, and application security, and so on and so forth. Both are important. Both we are focused on here within DuPage County in the IT department. But cybersecurity itself, a comprehensive cybersecurity solution, will ensure that everything's protected: the network, our servers, our workstations, and the data that we use each and every day. Next. All right, so this particular slide just shows you that there are tons and tons of cyber attacks and viruses and other malicious actors out there that are trying to get into our network for various different reasons. There are roughly 4,000 ransomware attacks per day, roughly 11, thank you, roughly 1 every 11 seconds. And as you can see, cyber attacks come from many different sources, like corporate spies, hacktivists. These are activists who are trying to hack into your system, terrorist groups, hostile nation states, criminal organizations, individual hackers who have their own purposes, and then also sometimes disgruntled employees who's also trying to hack into the system. So as you can see on the left side, the image on the left side, those are probably the more common cyber attack entities, things like phishing and spyware, and also malware, which I'll talk about in more detail, are the ones that you see on a more consistent basis. There are other ones on the right side which affect our networks directly, but you aren't always aware of those things, like denial of service attack to us. That's something that attacks our network itself and has a direct impact on the performance of our network. Next slide. All right, so I want to talk about the big one. This is the one that I'm sure you've read about recently. You constantly read about because they have ramped up quite a bit, and that's ransomware. So it's a form of malware, but the issue with ransomware is that essentially they take over your system and they threaten to either erase your data or not give you access to that data until you pay them some form of financial ransom. It's typically in the form of cryptocurrency, and the main reason there is so that the dollars aren't traceable. So once they get those funds, they're gone, right? So it's a growing threat. There are billions of dollars in payments to crypto criminals each and every day. They're inflicting significant damage on all types of organizations. Private sector, you sometimes see more, but also it's happening in government organization as well. And many cases, government entities just don't share that information with with the public, which makes sense to a certain degree. Once you share that information, so sharing information is great for the community so that they're aware of it and they can prep for it, but it also makes you more vulnerable to other cyber attackers. So in 2020 alone, the total amount of ransom paid out, $350 million. So that's a lot of money. And it was up 311% from 2019. And each and every year it seems to grow. So in the United States alone, ransomware victims spent an average of $2.9 million in either remediation, which is essentially cleaning up the mess that's made by the ransomware virus, or prepping themselves for future attacks. All right, next slide. One more. All right, so I wanted to bring this to your attention because this is close to home, and I think it makes sense for everyone here to be aware of it. So DeKalb County got hit with a ransomware attack just 2 weeks ago. No ransom amount was disclosed as far as we know as of yet, but we'll see. But the county servers were inaccessible for a period of time, which had a huge impact on their day-to-day operations. And then the Illinois Attorney General, his organization was also hit by attack in April. So they didn't pay an actual ransom, which is believed to be the right posture, not to pay. You hear conflicting information, pay or not to pay. But they didn't pay, but they had to pay $2.4 million to clean up the mess. So it's a lot of money. All right, there were nearly 150 reported ransomware attacks on the US in the past 18 months. Next slide. All right. So why is cybersecurity important in general, but specifically to us? It's rapidly growing and we are very vulnerable. DuPage County ranks in the 100 percentile of cybersecurity risk, which means that we're at the highest level of risk. Increasing cybersecurity attacks are causing insurance rates to skyrocket in all industries, not just in government. But specifically, we're currently renewing our cybersecurity liability insurance, and our premium increased from $45,000 to $200,000, and our deductible increased from $250,000 to $1 million due to cybersecurity activities, specifically ransomware activities and associated risks.
Not to interrupt, I go on.
No, no,
But
no.
why are we at the highest risk level? What factors contribute to that?
So we haven't invested a lot in security. So we've been doing a great job. The team is doing a great job of securing as much as they can, but we haven't taken it to the next step when we have to do that. And then we haven't done it in a holistic way. So even though the IT department has a strategy, the clerk of the circuit court may have a different strategy. The sheriff's office has a different strategy. All of those entities are interconnected, so we need to have a posture that covers the entire county organization. Because we don't have that, and because any of those organizations could infect the other organizations, it jacks up our risk. So there's also additional software that we need to have that we're working on. I'll talk about in a second. But there was an assessment done by an insurance company. I think there were 20 different insurance companies that we reached out to. Only 3 actually accepted or responded. And the 3 did some assessments and identified where the gaps are. I don't want to go into a lot of detail with those gaps because of security information and sensitive information. But we have a plan to address those things. We've actually started, and we're chipping away at it right now. All right, so what's next, or what next? So number one, all of these things are things, as I was just mentioning, that we are currently doing. We have to increase what we're doing in these areas, and also come up with a comprehensive plan to attack these things, and we've done that. We're also going to align ourselves, and we already have a framework and a document created by Kevin and Murray's team, basically, that gives us a kind of framework to follow for cybersecurity. And the NIST Cybersecurity Framework is the framework that we're going to follow. National Institute of Standards and Technology created a framework basically so that organizations like ours could have rules and guidelines and standards to follow to ensure that our systems were protected. So that's the high-level NIST framework. You identify the risks, you protect, you detect any further malicious attacks, you respond to those, and then you recover if you ever get hit. Recover quickly if you ever get hit with a cybersecurity attack. So the ones on the left, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail. You can, there's a copy of the presentation. You can take a look at it. But it starts with us adopting an IT security framework across the board and standards across the board that we follow. And then we conduct a security assessment to identify where our holes are. And then we patch those holes and continue to keep ourselves secure. And that's a lot of these tasks are things that you do in between in order to make that happen. Next slide. All right, so what are our next steps? Our immediate next steps, we've developed a cybersecurity action plan that I mentioned earlier that we are executing now. It's it has a lot of different steps. One of the steps is number 2, which is to request ARPA funding to pay for critical cybersecurity software, hardware, and support services to make sure that we have at least a minimum level of security and support in place. Number 3, we're going to conduct a full security assessment countywide to identify any of those security risks and address that, make sure that's part of our action plan. So not only will we address the things that IT department is responsible for, we're going to look at other areas like the sheriff's office, the clerk's office, and any other into ETSB and any other area that has an IT presence. Then we're going to implement some quick wins, which we started to do already countywide. If we're able to buy the software, we can apply some security right away that'll make us more secure and hopefully will bring down our premiums as well as the goal. So those are our next steps. And then last but not least, yeah, oh, I'm sorry, thanks, I didn't realize that was there. So the last thing is to develop and implement a comprehensive long-term security strategy. Again, something that involves all of our organizations. So we cannot do it in silos. That increases our risks and our issues. It has to be one comprehensive cybersecurity solution and strategy. All right, and last but not least, just a reminder, this is Cybersecurity Awareness Month. So we've been sending out tips every week to bring our users' attention to things that they can do to keep our county safe. Thank you. Any questions?
Thanks, Anthony. Thank you, Chair. So that $1 million it's going to cost us out of pocket if we have an attack, that number can come down with increased cooperation between departments and security, and how long can it go?
So that I'm not sure of. I think that it'll never be back to 250 just because there's too many risks, right? So out there, cybersecurity is doing this and it hasn't stabilized at all. But I do believe, so what we've done, and we're rapidly doing now, the renewals in December, we've already started addressing all of their assessment concerns. And we're going to send a response to them. And we hope that that response will bring that number down even before we renew. If it doesn't, we're going to wait 6 months. We're going to track all of our activities and really show them that we've implemented some, we've addressed the risk and we've implemented some serious security items to address those things. In the 6 months, we're going to go back and reapply. And if that doesn't work, we're going to wait for the 12-month period and then reapply. We do believe that it will come down. Just not 100% sure how much it'll come down.
And are there more firms that are going to kind of jump into that space that might, a little competition might help bring those prices down too?
Yeah, I believe so. Are you referring to the cybersecurity or the insurance?
Yes, yeah.
So there are tons
Well,
of
insurance
organizations.
too,
Yeah. So this is more related to insurance and insurance risk. There are tons of organizations that do cybersecurity well, and we're going to assess them. We're going to look at them, try to pick the ones that are great at what they do, but also cost effective. So in some cases, it could be as low as say 100,000 a year. In some cases, it can be as high as $1 million a year, really depending on what type of security you want in place and how active you want these companies to be. From an insurance perspective, so I think the big issue there is that insurance companies initially didn't think that they would ever have to pay out for cybersecurity. So when they jumped into the business, they really thought that, hey, this is a low risk item. It's probably not gonna ever, come to fruition. And it has in a big time. So to a certain degree, we're gonna have to pay, this going forward. We just need to try to minimize the amount that we pay if we can. So we can keep the premium and the deductible down. I think it helps. And then it just helps us in general, right? So the more secure we are, the better we are as an organization. We don't want to get hacked. We don't want people to have our data. We don't want to have hours, days, or potentially even months of downtime. And so the great thing about what happened with the insurance is it just brought it to light and let us know that we have to treat it as a priority. It has to happen sooner than later. The more secure we are, the better we're going to be as an organization. So we may still have to pay, higher premiums, but we'll be very secure. If we ever suffer an actual attack, we're going to pay a lot more. So we're going to pay millions and millions of dollars probably to recover. A lot of those organizations in terms of size are smaller than we are, right? So the bigger we are, the more damage that they can potentially take place.
And will the new computer system help with the security levels?
The new,
Or the new soft, the new
oh yeah, absolutely, yes, yeah. So it's going to protect our email, it's going to protect our workstations, it's going to protect our servers, it's going to protect our network. There's a lot of different layers that we're going to apply security to make sure that we're solid.
Thank you.
When Anthony was calling you next, explaining the insurance issue. It reminded me a lot of residential flood insurance, how because the risk keeps growing, the market keeps shrinking, so the prices keep growing. So I appreciate that we're doing as much as we can, knowing the market's probably going to continue to be an issue, to at least give ourselves as good of a, as a pitch as we can to get lower amounts. Forget it.
One thing for us in the circuit court clerk's office is we knew about DeKalb pretty quickly. The clerk there actually we were on a call and she gave us in real time that they had been hacked. And that was very helpful to us because I could immediately say to the chief judge's office, like, look for this so that we could block all the emails that were coming from DeKalb County to make sure. So my question is like how close are we working with other counties around us to know like when they're having security attacks? Because the circuit court clerk in Cook County also got hit too, and so we were in real time with them too. And then when that happens, can we get notified pretty quickly so that because we don't know exactly what's happening, to be blocked on our end to get like from the emails that we receive from them or any information that we're getting from them?
Yeah, so that's a very valid point. So unfortunately, we don't communicate as well as we should. One of the things that I'm trying to implement is a technology roundtable with CIOs in different counties so that we can talk and share information. So hopefully that'll come to light and we'll be able to share more and more often. But even outside of that, if we hire a company to be a service, they do that. They get information, they get it to us quickly. One of the reasons why it's great to have that service in place is because they're proactive. 24/7, they're looking for these attacks, they're looking for information. They warn us or they protect us, and they get that information to us very quickly. And then we can get the information out. Yep.
So we also are part of several groups that notify us, and Joe can attest to this too. We get notified. There's been police departments, many of them recently, who have been hacked, and we do get notified. And then we don't notify you. We notify Craig Larson, Kevin Baskey, Jason. He was there, there. So under the covers, we do notify when we know of those attacks, and we block emails frequently from, I think Willowbrook was hacked.
Willowbrook was hacked.
And there was a couple others, I can't remember off the top of my head, but under the covers, we do that now. So like I said, we may not notify you directly, but we do notify your IT.
But I do think it's important for you to know as well.
Yeah.
And you're aware of what's going on. So we will make sure that we do that.
Same with the other, department heads. If there's issues, we would let Sheriff Bender.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to share about this. In my prior life, I was an attorney, and ISB and Mutual gives malpractice insurance to lawyers, and they have a very substantial cyber component to it. And even before I was elected, I got a lot of education on what to do. And a personal friend of mine, an attorney, her office suffered a ransomware attack about a year ago. ISB, and she was insured by ISB. They jumped in. They had great assets to help her out with advice. She also had a backup that was only 24 hours old. So she basically said, just reboot everything, start from scratch, and she lost a day's work, and that's all she lost. Yeah. But the point I'm making, the reason I bring this up now, is that insurance company has the experts that were teaching all the Illinois lawyers how to protect their offices from ransomware attacks. So I'm familiar with the topic, and there's assets out there that people who are experts on how to protect themselves from all of these things.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we're engaging those experts now, and we will continue to engage them moving forward. But the hope is that we bring in what I call a external partner to partner up with our internal person. We've actually identified an internal person to be our cybersecurity architect. So our go-to person, that's only one person. So if we bring in these subject matter experts from the outside to partner with, they'll help us.
I think if the insurance company audits the security and they're comfortable, then you know you have a good plan.
Yes.
If they're not comfortable, then you don't have a good plan.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
Any other comments or questions on this presentation? I'm sure this will not be the last time, even this year, we hear about cybersecurity.
No.
Standing item.
Hey, Madam Chair, if it's okay, I'd like to come back periodically just to give updates with the action plan and with our course.
Great, thank you so much. All right, any old business? Any new business? All right, without objection, we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.